Hi Pilgrims, Sue from Sisters to Santiago here. Today I'm going to be talking about the planning process for our upcoming Camino on the Chemin Du Puy, or also known as the Via Podiensis. But before I get into the nitty-gritty of that, I wanted to share some interesting facts with you. 7 sections of this specific Camino are listed on the World Heritage Site, the UNESCO site, which is really amazing. It's also the only Camino that has areas that are listed. Also, there are 12 monuments along this route that are World Heritage Sites. The first one is the Notre Dame Cathedral in Puy-en-Velay, which is actually where the Camino starts. Then there's another one, which is the Saint Foy Abbey in Conques, which is actually where we're going to be ending and spending the night on our last evening of the Camino. And then the cloisters at Moisique. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see those because it's further down the Camino and we're not going to be able to have enough time to explore that. But I wanted to share that with you. I thought that was really interesting. Okay, now on to the details. So we finally decided and booked our plane tickets on July 9th, which is just shy of 2 months from stepping foot onto the Camino. So it doesn't really give us a lot of time. So we really had to buckle down and do some research. Having done the Camino Frances last year has helped somewhat, but on the other hand, this is a very different Camino than that. And one of the biggest difficulties for us is the language barrier. This Camino is all in France, and so everything is in French. My Spanish is okay, so I was able to get by in Spain, but this is just making it a little bit difficult, but challenging in a good way, so I'm excited about that. So this vlog is going to be a summary of the research we've done in the planning process. And down below, I've listed a number of the resources we've been able to find, so hopefully it'll make your planning process a little bit easier. When we started researching this Camino, we quickly realized that you need to search under all the 3 names that this Camino goes by. The first one is Chemin Du Puy, the second is the Via Podiensis, and the third is the GR65 trail. Once we realized this, we kept finding a lot more information, and we're excited to share that with you. I will just go ahead and summarize some of these resources and where you can find them if you're doing research. The first place I looked was Facebook, and I actually came across 2 amazing Facebook groups. I'm sure there's more, but I found 2 that were really helpful. And one is called the GR65 Via Podiensis, walking the La Puy route in France, and the other one is Camino Via Podiensis GR65 Chemin Du Puy-en-Velay. Don't worry about writing it down. I've got it listed below so you can kind of take a peek at that. Both of these Facebook groups are amazing. You can either write a question and everyone will respond, or you can actually do a search on the topic specific you're looking for and find a wealth of information. Also, there is a tab that you can go to under files, and there are tons of PDFs there that have lots of great information. One of the documents I found was this. It actually shows you, it's probably backwards, actually shows you the locations and if there are toilets, water taps, food, and the distance between the 2. So it's been really helpful for that, especially when trying to figure out how much food you're going to need to bring and water on each of the segments. Another great resource has been a specific PDF guide that was recommended by one of the Facebook groups. And this guide is Rob's Camino Guides Via Podiensis. And you can actually download that. Thank you, Rob. That's fabulous. He does accept donations, and I strongly encourage everyone just to support him and all the work he's done. That, again, you can find that link down below. Another great resource has been YouTube videos. Again, you need to research for all the 3 different names for this Camino, and a ton of stuff will come up. It's been really helpful just to see the different segments, kind of get an idea of how difficult they are, what they look like, what to expect. So thank you everyone out there for your YouTube videos and helping us create the Camino that works for us. Next are some phone apps. There are a number of apps that I would suggest. I really like the Podiensis by Wise Pilgrim. It not only gives you information about each of the segments, but it also provides information about accommodations along the way. There's another app called by Buen Camino that's specific to the Le Puy route. This provides information on the different segments and accommodations as well. At the time of taping this vlog, it does say that the guide is pending production, so we'll see how it works on the Camino. Another great app that I've used while hiking around Colorado is the AllTrails app. And this is great because you can actually pull up the individual segments and take a look at what the details are and the elevation and kind of what you're getting into along this route. Next, I want to talk about some books. I've ordered a few books. This first one here is the La Puy-en-Velay to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port by Michelin, and this has been a fabulous book. I really, really like it. It has information about each of the segments. It actually shows you the elevation change and where there are accommodations and where the bus stops, and some key points of interest along the way. So this has been a fabulous resource. It's got a lot of information and some history as well, so definitely worth picking up. The next book I want to share is the one that you probably have heard of a lot. If you're researching this, this is the Miam Dodo GR65 section 1, first edition, 2023. This has been an interesting book for me, primarily because it's all in French. So I'm really paying attention more to the maps in here and in the information that's shared. If you are interested in ordering this book, do know it does take some time for you to receive it. I got mine 3 weeks after I ordered it. So it just came in. I haven't had a lot of time to go through it yet, but believe me, I will from top to bottom. I'm excited. Another book that I don't have a copy of is put out by Dave Whitson. He's put out a guide that you can either purchase as a hardcover book or an ebook, and I'll put that information down below. I just briefly looked at that so far, and I plan on spending a little bit more time going through it. But it's great to have all of these resources. So it's between the combination of all three of these, just these alone, I think you're going to find a lot of great information that's going to help you do your planning as well. Another great resource is podcasts. Again, Dave Whitson has spent some time putting together some podcasts that talk specifically about this Camino. I actually have downloaded them to my phone. I will be waiting to listen to those when I'm on the trail. So it's pretty exciting. So hopefully there's some interesting tidbits there. There are other ones out there as well. There's actually an interview with him that you can download and listen to too. Another thing is there's an official website out there, www.podiensis.com, and that provides some history, some helpful hints. It talks about packing, it talks about the routes itself, it's the different stages, the accommodations. It's a great resource, definitely worth looking at. Another really great resource is the Compostelle Bus website. And not only does this provide you with the information on the bus routes and the times and the locations where they can pick you up, but it also talks about some of the history of the Camino, and it provides information about accommodations as well. This is a great resource, and I'll talk about the bus in a little bit. One of the things I do want to share is luggage transfer information, or I should say luggage transfer is available. We don't have any research on that to share because we're going to be carrying all our stuff, but similar to the Camino Frances, there is a great system to transfer your luggage if you don't want to carry everything in your bag. So that kind of sums up the resources for you. So let's talk about the planning process. Our first decision we needed to make was to determine which segments of this 736 kilometer Camino we wanted to walk. The official starting point is in Puy-en-Velay, and it ends in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, which is where the Camino Frances starts. To complete the full Camino de Puy, or Chemin Du Puy, I should say, would take us about 6 weeks because we're not fast walkers. And unfortunately, we just don't have that much time. So we needed to research and decide which segments were going to be the best for us. What we ended up deciding is the first official segment, which was from Puy-en-Velay to Conques. We both really like starting a Camino at the very beginning of the Camino. There's just something magical about that. It's the same for when we started the Frances. We did start in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port and walk over the Pyrenees. Even though we couldn't do the entire Camino, we skipped a couple sections in the middle because we just wanted to be there at the very beginning of it all. So we're going to do that again on this Camino. Normally this segment from Le Puy to Conques is 125.77 kilometers and would take roughly 9 to 11 days of walking, depending on how fast you walk. But we are the slow sisters, and we only have 9 days to walk, and we know we're not going to be able to do it in 9 days. So given our experience on the Frances and how much we covered, we figured that we can cover for this Camino 100 miles in 9 days, which averages 11 miles per day. Still not horrible, not fast, but not slow, but it will take us quite some time to even do the 11 miles per day. So that means we're going to have to skip some of the route, unfortunately. So after a lot of research, we decided to take the bus 3 separate times on day 2, day 4, and day 9. But we will also be walking each of those days. So we're just going to be cutting off little segments of walking so we can complete this route. So let's talk about the bus. There's an amazing bus system for this Camino, and it's pretty exciting. It goes back and forth through this whole segment, and the schedule is listed on the website, and it tells you exactly where it stops in each of the towns and what time it will stop. And so if you're wanting to move forward, if you hurt yourself, if you don't have time like we do, it's a great opportunity to just move ahead when you need to move ahead. Our longest day is going to be crossing the Ubac Plateau, which I've heard is very similar to the Meseta on the Camino Frances. We did not walk the Meseta last year, so we're both excited about doing this plateau this time. This is our longest day, and it's from Ubac to Nasbinols. Sorry again about the pronunciation, which is a total of 26 kilometers. So this is a 16.16 mile day. So it's going to be a little tough, especially it's considering it's going to be open prairie land and there's not going to be a lot of shade. So hopefully we will have an overcast day this time. Our second longest day is actually our first day from Le Puy to Saint-Priest-à-l'Air. Sorry, I messed that one up good, I'm sure. That's 23.5 kilometers, which is 14.6 miles. This is definitely going to be a tough one for us because we won't have our Camino legs yet, but it's our first day and we're going to be excited, and all our energy, I hope, will just propel us down the trail as far as we need to be for that day. So those are some too long days, but on average, like I said, we are going to be walking about 11 miles per day. Okay, let's talk about accommodations. So I scoured the resources I've identified a bit earlier to find out where we should stay. And we've decided that we're going to primarily be staying in gîtes, or gîtes, I think it's gîtes, which are very similar to the albergues in Spain or hostels in the US. And from what we've learned, there's just not as many accommodations along this Camino as there are on the other popular Caminos like the Frances and the Portuguese. So we are going to have to make some decisions on where we're going to stay ahead of time. Especially for this first segment that we're going to be walking, I hear that it's the most popular of all of them. And because there are limited gîtes and therefore limited beds, we don't want to have to do the bed race. So we decided to go ahead and book each of our 9 nights on the Camino. We're hoping we don't have any issues and we can make it to each of them. But it will be really nice to not have to research and send messages and call and send emails when we get to a town for the next day or two. So it's going to be really nice not to have to worry about where we're going to be staying the following night like we did on the Frances. So on that hand, it's going to be nice. On the other hand, like I said, if we have any issues, it may be problematic. So we're just going to keep our fingers crossed and just keep walking. So we're excited. So before we can walk the Camino, we have to get there, and we're flying from Denver, Colorado. So we're actually flying the 12 hours it's going to take from Denver to Lyon, France, and we're taking Lufthansa, which is great. I love that airline. We're going to spend the night in Lyon, and I'm excited about that because it looks like an absolutely beautiful city. And then the next morning, we're going to get up, head to the train station, and then take the 2-hour and 45-minute train to La Puy-en-Velay. And we're going to do that in the morning. So then when we get there, we'll have all day to explore the town before we leave for the Camino the next morning. We will be starting our journey on September 5th and 2023. And it's almost 1 year to the day that we started our Camino Frances, which is pretty exciting. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about our planning process and find it helpful, and you've been able to take some of the tidbits that we've shared and plan your Camino as well. We will be doing daily vlogs along the trail, although we probably won't be posting them on a daily basis just because I know how tired we are at the end of the day, and we're just going to want to take a rest and have a glass of wine or a beer and have dinner and probably just drop down in bed afterwards. So those may be delayed, but we're hoping to be able to do some live videos along the way, depending, of course, on our ability to figure out the technology and have Wi-Fi. Those will be interesting because we'll do them at the end of the day, and who knows what we'll be saying since they're not taped. So check back in about a week or so. I'm going to do another packing video. This is going to go over what we've decided to bring on this Camino, and it does differ from what we brought on the Frances. I'm excited to share that with you, and hoping that you will get some tidbits and information that will help you pack for your Camino as well. So Buen Camino, and or should I say in French, Bon Chemin, from Sisters to Santiago, and we will see you soon. And if you liked this video and it helped you plan your next Camino, please like us and subscribe, and we would love to hear your thoughts about your planning. So please comment below and let us know if there's anything else we missed, because we are still in the planning process. We're close to the end, but still in the planning process, and would really appreciate anything you could share. So I hope you have a nice day, and we'll talk soon.